This is your pre-show disclaimer. This podcast episode is about a very boring game known as Forge of Empires. If you've not played it, feel free to listen and find out what it's about. Otherwise, you've been warned. We now return you back to the episode, which is already in progress.
He wants to talk about Forge of Empires.
That's the worst part about it. He's like, no.
Yeah, code red.
All right, so it should go like...
Emergency podcast. We met at the bar just to discuss this because it's been too long.
Two women walking into a dive bar, and they order some Cabernet Sauvignon, and the bartender goes, "We don't got that. What do we look like?" They're like, "All right, just give me some Sauvignon Blanche." And they're like, "What? We got this stuff that you untwist the top from, and then we just pour it in a glass. Do you want some? It's got red, white, and gasoline colored. Which one? Take your pick." And then these two ladies are in there, and she's like, "Hey, Martha, how's it going?" And she's like, Jeanette, I'm really upset about Chris. I feel like he's really spending a lot of time and paying attention to this Forge of Empires game." And she's like,
he's always looking at his phone.
And then she kind of stops, and the other girl pauses, and she's like, "Oh my God, I think Jason's doing the same thing too.
He's addicted."
Yeah, they're addicted. They're not paying attention to us. They're neglecting us. Oh, cheers.
They got the Forge.
Then they clink their glasses of there you go. And then
we finally found a box wine in the back in the closet.
Who knows how long it's been there. It was cooking in the sun in the parking lot because the liquor guy didn't even take the time to put it down into the cooler. He's just like throwing it on the...
It was part of last week's delivery.
It just baked on the asphalt back area that used to be a gravel pit, but now that it's asphalt, it's twice as hot. It cooked on there like an egg on the hood of a black Porsche.
I'm sure that was good for the wine.
Yeah. So they're sitting there talking about it, and it's like, "Honey, I think we need to go ahead and have an intervention with our husbands or our boyfriends." And then it's them talking about how, "What? Forge of Empires? I'm not addicted. What are you talking about?" And they're like, "You were on it every morning, Saturday and Sunday, when you're smoking weed and drinking your coffee. You paid no attention to me. You left the cat box.
I told you all about my sister and her goiter.
You left the cat box full of turds."
Our cat's been dead for 2 years.
That's what this podcast is going to be like.
Neglecting me.
This is the interlude before we get into the podcast, just to fuck with you, because
they're just going to buy plane tickets.
It's not going to be this interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and say that if you listen to this podcast, as a disclaimer, your girlfriends and your wives will leave you as a result of you being this nerdy. This is a nerdy, very specific, refined podcast, and this is a disclaimer. I'm sorry it took this long to get to the point.
That's right.
Had to get a lot of gin and it's an emergency podcast. Where we talk about Forge of Empires, which is a horrible game to get involved with. Do not get involved with this game if you are in a very refined, scheduled relationship. This is only going to make it worse. If you have OCD,
if someone's got expectations of you, don't play at all.
If you're meeting some chick on Tinder for the first time, do not mention or even put on there at any point, "Hey, do you forge?"
You're going to lose her, yeah.
But if she says yeah, marry her. Don't even
sight unseen.
Sight unseen, yeah. Just
the pictures of a pancake.
She could be in a different country, and if she says, "I love Forge of Empires," I don't care where she comes from, you should definitely hook up with that one.
There are many global people on there.
Everyone else, though, anyone normal in the community, anyone that could be listening to this podcast, as a disclaimer, I'm letting you know it's not nearly as exciting as what we're talking about right now. This is kind of like a episode 0.5 before the episode comes on about Forgecast, because we plan on having many more of these. Yeah. So we're sorry. If you enjoyed it, great. If you didn't, and it sucks, that's fine. I'm going to turn off the comments knowing that a majority of people... This is a very specific podcast. That's what I'm saying, folks. And we thank you for tuning in. And
those who know will know.
Yes, there you go. And with that, bring it off. We're going to smoke up while you guys listen to the start of Forgecast.
Thank you for being here.
Tales from a death bar. Yeah, come and listen for free. Get your ass on your couch, eat some food, and listen to us three. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Welcome to Tales from a Dive Bar. It's the Forgecast edition, so we're going to warn you ahead of time. If you're listening to this and you haven't played Forge of Empires, this is going to be the most mind-numbing, senseless podcast that you're going to hear. Just press the next button or press the previous button, and you could hear where we talk to a stuntman or somebody else that bleached their butthole, or they bought some stuff off Amazon that allows your butthole to get bleached. But this is not going to be the case tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to talk about a game that Chris and I have been playing for a very long time. Oh, by the way, Chris Hellickson's here, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Good to be back. The dive bar.
Let's explain what Forge of Empires is. And this is just coming right from their Wikipedia. It's a strategy building game where you build, trade, and fight. You leave the Stone Age behind and battle into the future. You start in the Stone Age and journey to the future. Play with 16 million players, join a guild, become an active community. So we started playing this game. Let's just go right from the bare beginnings of it. We did. A friend of mine referred me to the game so he could get diamonds, so because diamonds is like in-play money. Even though it's a free game, it's free to play. You could pay to get better features or stuff. You could jump ahead as a result of doing it.
Prestige.
Yeah. If something's going to take you 2 days to do, or you could pay something like 50 diamonds, just pay the 50 diamonds sometimes, because then you're jumping into the next map and now you can fight or trade. So we started playing Forge of Empires in 2012 or so, and it has evolved into being the massive online community that it is. I'll have to tweet or talk about it on Twitter, because that's going to probably be more of an appropriate outlet than, say, the regular dive bar conversations. But I like to think that when you're in a bar, people talk about video games. People talk about what they're playing recently. And usually it's always bragging about having the best thing. Like even Mark, the drummer, we were jamming earlier today in the garage for Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, by the way.
Thank you. It was a great jam, by the way.
Yeah. And Mark was telling me, he goes, I'm getting a steering wheel that it's just like you're driving on the road. So when you're going fast, it'll counteract and you have to fight the steering. And if you go airborne, it becomes, you feel a sense of weightlessness. Yes. This game is not like this. The comparable thing I could put this to for when I was much younger would be SimCity. You're building a city.
Agreed.
And then you get to build more features. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, because I know the Raven, she plays the... the carnival game. Same idea. You invest certain things based on the money that comes in or based on the amount of stuff that you're able to acquire. It's a farming game as well.
Right.
And you can build more and then get more cooler attractions. And as you get things...
that's a feature that exists in Forge as well. Farming as well.
Yeah. So we're going back to the start of 2012. We're just throwing spears and rock slinging. And
we were there.
It's pretty easy to get through those first handful of ages to the point
I was proud. Wait, hold on. Let's not leave the Stone Age just yet.
All right. Yes. Let's do it.
Because you start off with two chuckas. Mm-hmm. Two spear chuckas.
Two spearmen or whatever.
Two spearmen, yes. And those chuckas, because I didn't know you had to set a defense for your city.
So people were people raiding your city right from the get-go?
Forever. You can set 8 soldiers, 8
army.
slots, 8 armies to defend your city. If you don't, it gives you the default 2 spearmen. And I was getting eaten alive every time I'd go. I'm like, what's going on?
It's kind of like as you evolve, you have army, tech, and tiers. So you go from being able to be a guy who's stabbing to where you can shoot a weapon. You can get further range. You can get to where then now. And I remember playing the game very early into it, to where you could only get so far on the map before all of a sudden you're fighting against guys who are on horses.
Sure, in a different era. But you know what? Compared to now, and we can get into this later as far as the new features and whatnot, but the way the game used to be set up, what you learned in that era is enough to play the game.
Absolutely.
It teaches you the game. There are a lot of extra features now and add-ons, what have you, to the game that didn't exist before, which now some of them I take part in, some of them I still don't or could care less. But it did teach you to play the game. You could have stayed there.
Back in 2012, it was called age camping. And people were happy doing that and building on and just getting their stuff and then building on and getting more land and then slowly building. You can trade up so you can get through the map because you're right. Once your military isn't strong enough to get through different territories because you're just dealing with guys that have a stronger army, then you trade. And now all of a sudden you're putting stuff out. Yeah. You're farming wood so you can trade up for alabaster or glass.
Right.
Later
well, you
on
said it about camping, and forgive me for that.
No, go for it.
Stepping on you. If you're camping, you don't need to proceed with that army on that map. So you're not really worried about it. If you're camping, you're there for a while and stocking up. You don't worry about the map until you're going somewhere. Now, because I just wanted to keep playing, I would go crazy on the map. I would just do whatever the game would let me do. You know, and I got ahead of myself in a lot of spaces, especially when it comes to guild. Not only guild building, but the Ark. Took me 8 years to get to level 80.
An Ark. And that was such
Some
a
people
big
do it in
thing.
weeks.
Yeah. And that's something that I wasn't even aware of until last year where you're like, hey, this is the great building you have to get.
Yeah.
If you see the opportunity to pick up blueprints, which is another facet that we can get into where you do blueprint hunting to then build greater buildings, but then you still need to trade for the materials to build that great building.
Yep.
It becomes a very OCD thing. You know what it is? I think this game really appealed to our OCD because you're going, I'm going to have this the way I want, any way I want it. And even then, just like how you said at the beginning, where you start with a couple of like guys with spears and you're getting raided because that's one of like the biggest mistakes is we all forget to set an army. So then we have all these neighbors that can now attack you and they just
whoop the
looting
shit
you.
out of me.
Yeah. So then it's like, okay, so I'm building the defense now. I'm evolving from that point and I'm building up characters along the way. Do I get building towards an army or do I try to build my city towards getting more trade materials so that I can trade them?
Well, see, I don't want to get ahead of us.
Yeah.
Because back then, well, I spoke to the changes in the game, but back then, the great buildings really did give you all the bonuses that you need. So if you got the great buildings, you didn't have to go.
You didn't have to sit there and go up the tech tree.
No, because your great buildings gave you the military bonuses, the goods bonuses, the supply bonuses, coin bonuses, whatever you needed. There was a great building for it. But now, and we spoke to this, the changes, there are so many buildings that are a 2x3 that are just kind of a throwaway building in comparative sense to today's, prize building.
If we would have gotten that building in 2012, we would have been just like,
well, those little buildings are making all the great buildings obsolete. There are many that are getting, I've deleted several myself, but we talk about the Ark. That one, because of its payback bonus, is always going to be the most important building.
It's the most sought after, and that's why you're like the game doesn't even start until you get your Ark
your level
to
80.
level 80.
Yeah, it doesn't even start.
And going
God,
back,
I wish I would have known that.
With your army, though, with the guys with the spears, I remember you saying, once I finally did start building an army, somebody would still raid me or whatever, and then I would just hit them every day, and I'd send them a private message going, you know what, this happens until I'm not allowed to do this to you anymore.
Because it took me a year. In that year, I actually learned how to play. And once I figured out how to unfuck myself there, I was able to distribute some justice, which was nice.
What do you think was the biggest mistakes we would have made when we first started besides not setting a defense army? What's the other big mistakes that would start or that people... I mean, now, like you said, with all the new buildings and all the new features, it allows you to level quicker. It allows you to acquire forge points you can build on your tech tree. You could use the forge points to then go ahead and do the blueprint hunting to build yourself an Ark. I would say... I'll let you go first because I'm stuck on it.
I would say where we went wrong is... we didn't go wrong so much. Well, maybe we did. Maybe call it go wrong. Maybe it is a good term. But we didn't relinquish enough control. Okay. We didn't trust enough to bring people in to incorporate a 1.9, things like that. We didn't trust in it. We didn't know it. Okay.
We were just two guys like, hey, we're going to bombard and raid and run through as much as we can.
Yeah, and if you're not on when I'm not on, we don't have any other friends. We didn't have any other guild members.
Yeah.
So that's why I made the second city to go back and forth and just let her city just trade back and forth and just used it for goods to raid.
Well, gilding too, I think, is a big thing to where it's not till the Iron Age where you can start joining a guild, right?
Correct.
So you got to go through the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, and then the Iron Age starts. And I remember even as we were trying to recruit people, and we're like, yeah, you got to get all the way through get to the Iron Age so that we can help you out.
So we can let you in.
We can trade with you. We already have the materials and the stuff farmed up from us playing for a good year or so plus in this game.
And over that time, it was about a year. And I learned, that's when I was finally able to build a Zeus.
Yeah.
Because I ended up camping in the Iron Age, and then it turned out every 2 years I would move up. And then over the course of the last 3 years, I have moved up 5 eras. 3 of them were just so my city could provide goods to the guild treasury because we had a shortage.
You became hyper involved with running the guild, and then you found a lot of people. And you built a community around it.
I opened it up because of all the chatter I had heard and all the use this. And then through the friend network, Reba got into Live as One of the top guilds in G World, and learned that all these systems are vital. Took the Valley and opened it up and allowed for that to come in. And we soared with our numbers. We were great, which allowed us to merge with other guilds.
Exactly. Eventually everyone goes, hey, we're only going to get this good. We're at this top ranking where we're at. We're in this Diamond or Platinum League.
And it's hard to recruit the badasses because at this point they're already eaten up. They're already on some badass teams. So it's find other teams or guilds in your tier and merge.
And slowly build up on it. Yeah.
And over the years, you see those names over and over. You have them on your friends list. You chat with people. They're
going to hopefully hear this podcast. By the way, check out talesfromadivebar.com.
Yes.
We will give you both of our referral codes so that if you jump on, you can jump into the world that we're in, starting at it, and it'll also give us some diamonds, assuming you stick with it, at talesfromadivebar.com. Yes, stick with it. We will help you out. Don't worry. The second, like we said, you get into the Iron Age, you're in a guild, we can trade you through a lot of the territories that you're still trying to get through so you can acquire things like extra land
I have all
and resources.
The goods you will ever need. I can provide you with everything for every great building, for every transaction, for every map, everything you're doing.
Let's go back a little, just for a minute or two and talk about things that occur once you beat certain sections of a map. You get not only territory, you get resources that gives you the ability to then farm things like silk or diamonds or
opens
gold.
It up for you to farm goods.
And
correct.
That then allows you to, once you get to the Iron Age, to trade within the community. And on
for
top
free.
of that,
Finally for free.
This is all for free. I mean,
because you're now within a guild. Yes.
My biggest mistake is I've accidentally used or spent diamonds on shit that I just it was so dumb. I was mad.
There's a learning curve, bro.
Sometimes
and there's
you
nobody
sit there
to teach you.
Sometimes you're clicking a button and you don't even think about it, and you realize you're just like, oh, I'm just getting ready to set more gold.
Yeah.
Nope, it's asking you for 20 diamonds, I just spent 20 diamonds to get a day's worth of gold, and I'm like, that's probably my biggest mistake at the beginning of it.
I've done it, and I did it to buy that what was the Coliseum or whatever for luck points or happiness points for your city.
Yeah.
So
it's like we were like, wait,
always keep this one around.
We're wasting a lot of money and time because as you play with the game, you get rewarded diamonds, not just for certain quests, but also then for acquiring territory. And with that comes the ability to make your city bigger, make
land
things happen faster.
Yes.
I mean, land expansion's the most important thing, I think, right from the get-go.
By far, yeah.
But even then, it's because when you first start the game, we would spend... I remember going, I'm going to set it for every 15 minutes. We're hanging out, getting stone, just rolling joints, and then 15 minutes later, come back collecting on our laptops, and then just setting it for another 15 minutes. Or we're like, we're going to go do some stick carving. We're going to go get ourselves some sticks.
Set it for 4 hours. We'll
set
be
it
back.
for 4 hours or an hour in between. And like we kept coming back to it, or we never closed the screen. This game captivated us enough to where it superseded any kind of controller, like, oh, I'm racing or I'm shooting fireballs.
Yeah, when we would hang out for anything more than a couple hours, that took precedence. That's what we were doing.
It's wild because as we talk about it, I'm sure a majority of the people that have even held on this long realize when you talk about Forge of Empires, even with a Forge of Empires friend, at a certain point, you get pretty tired and burnt out from it. You're going, oh, well, you can do anything in this game.
Yes.
And we don't mean to make this seem like a fluff piece or anything. By the way, get our codes at talesfromadivebar.com so then you can be in our world for free, and then we get some diamonds. But what we're going to do, as we've reached here towards the about the 15-minute mark, we're going to take a short break. You guys will hear some cool promos or something, and when we come back, we will go from being in the Stone Age to the Bronze Age to the Iron Age to what you should do next in order to make your city the most badass possible city as well. With our Forge of Empires, Tales of a Dive Bar Forgecast.
Cheers.
We'll talk to you guys shortly. Stay tuned.
Hey, this is Brian From the Start. Check out our new album, Neighbors, and you're listening to Tales from the Dive Bar.
Hey, everyone. I forgot to mention Tales from the Dive Bar magnets, 2 for $10, free shipping. Get them while you can. We may also include...
They are cool.
We may also include one of the Nordic women's pleasure devices made from natural material, courtesy of Stick It to the Man, brought to you by its founder, none other than Chris Hellickson. Give it to him, Chris.
Thank you very much. Visit Stick It to the Man Custom Shop. Do us some business.
Just go ahead and buy some magnets at talesfromadivebar.com, because that $10 will go towards creating more of these Nordic women's pleasuring devices,
That's
which are
just
completely free and natural,
that we've been making, yes.
non-assessed by the FDA.
Popular.
And it seems to be something that's going on. It's Stick It to the Man Custom Shop. There will be a Viking flicking off somebody and maybe holding one of the Nordic pleasure devices.
Yeah, the
We're
idea
still
was to
figuring
have
it out.
a leprechaun/Viking kind of guy doing it in an act of defiance, and it came out a little Viking dwarf-looking guy sticking his middle finger up, and I love it.
I would just say like a
Maybe some
Viking
version
holding a
of it.
nub or something, and then he's still flicking off, and then it's like you got both. It's like saying, "Well, screw everybody," and then also here, this is for you, honey. It could be yours. Stick It to the Man Custom
Shop.
Custom Shop. Stick It to the Man Custom Shop.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you.
At talesfromadivebar.com. Get the magnets. We'll see you later.
Skull.
Hey, this is Andy. This is Mahoney. From the Start. Check out our new album, Neighbors, and you are listening to Tales from the Dive Bar.
Tales from the Dive Bar. Dive in, guys.
Hey, welcome back. It's Tales from a Dive Bar, and it is the continuation of Forgecast, where we are talking about Forge of Empires. Just to go ahead and brush you up, Forge of Empires is a strategy building game where you build, trade, and fight. You leave the Stone Age behind, where you battle into the future. You start in the Stone Age and journey to the future, and that's where we find ourselves in the Iron Age. We've gone from the Stone Age, or the Stoned Age, to the Bronze Age, to the Iron Age, and that's where things in the game begin to open up a lot faster for you. There's a lot more tasks that begin. There's a lot of other things that then you can become involved with. The Iron Age is a blink. But for you and your character, Reba...
That's when I learned to camp. Yeah.
That's where the age camping begins. And what did you do in the Iron Age? Why did you stay in there so long?
Well, I wanted to get stronger, and we talked about that. And that Reba being the second city I made, which allowed me to have 2 cities and go back and forth and trade goods and basically steal from myself to make one city stronger.
Sure.
And so in the course of that, she would get kind of robbed, far behind. But I wanted to build up her infrastructure and get an arc. So I just kept taking goods and trading them up and up and up into the new eras because the future was a new era. The Ark was a new building.
It didn't exist when we were first playing the game.
Right.
They started adding stuff to where then they had oceanic goods and Arctic goods, but you stayed in the Iron Age.
The goods were still floating around. It didn't matter what era you're in because somebody in your, whether it's your friends list or your guild, is going to be using those goods. So they're going to be floating around.
They still need some of that
stuff.
stuff.
You'll see them in your guild marketplace, when you're going to trade goods or looking to obtain goods, you go to the marketplace. I go there every day and clean it out.
Just go ahead and grab whatever is there. And
whoever,
usually you already have thousands upon thousands of inventory.
Yeah, like 50,000. Like
your OCD kicked in so hard that you jumped into having 2 logins for this game for our guild.
Yep. Well, when we were playing together, it was great. And we talked about this when we were hanging out. We'd have the laptops open. Every 20 minutes, we go check it, whatever, and we'd talk about it. And it was great. It was interactive. We were doing it together. You went west. I didn't.
Oh, that's right.
When we weren't together, it was if you weren't on at the same time and we weren't playing, there was nobody to play with.
Yeah, that's true.
And we didn't, and like we talked about, we didn't build our guild correctly.
We just threw whoever wanted to be in a guild, or
we left a gate open. We didn't know.
Yeah,
we didn't know.
That was probably one of our mistakes is learning guilds.
Well, we didn't know the game or the facet of guilds. We knew they existed, and we knew that we could be part of one, and whatever we knew about them.
Yeah.
But we didn't know how to build properly.
We didn't understand how essential that is going in for. And that's where it becomes a multiplayer game. It becomes a community.
You depend on your team members. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's why when they say active community, that's really what it is active community, because you would have things to where even when guilds would start or you wanted to get in the guild, you look and they'd say, you have to do this. You're required to do this. And sometimes you looked and you said, I don't want to be obliged to that. I don't want them yelling at. Yeah, I don't want them yelling at me because I don't.
Well, at the same time, they're in the guild in LAO, people are getting 10,000 hits in a season, and for asking you to get 200, it's like, just do it.
Yeah, I get it. It's easy. Yeah, but if you're an active player.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But in those guilds, there's a sign up for night crew. There's an evening crew. There's a Sunday morning crew. There's always a dozen people on slamming those sectors and fighting. And I mean, and if you want that type of partnership or that type of teamwork, well, it costs a little bit more. And if it costs something in the way of requirements, 200 hits in GBG, then just do it. LAO really doesn't have any requirements. They just say don't get zeros in everything, which is great. And that's really the only guild that's going to be that way. And I wanted to build model after that, but if you don't already have that leadership and those field generals in place, you have nothing to build around. And if you don't have a guild treasury, you can't do anything on the battlefield as a guild, building protective forts and whatnot. That comes straight out of the guild treasury.
Yeah, you got to have the guild versus guild, and that's where there's the territories, and that expands onto it. Is that open in the Iron Age? I don't remember. Like, once you're in the guild, you're able to do the guild expedition, which allows you to, and there'd be people that say, oh, we want you to get
another thing that didn't exist when we started.
Yeah, it was just, but we did it because you get the extra little things and buffs. So, I got an extra 10,000, 20,000 supplies. When you're in the Iron Age, that seems like a lot.
Yeah,
now,
and it's funny the way they sold that and the way they marketed that, and it's still to this day called Guild Expedition. But most of the rewards that come in it are individual based. They're not guild based. So there's really no incentive to do it other than in some way there are some points awarded to whatever place you get. There's assigned some type of value, but in the end, it doesn't mean much at all. It's all about where the fighting is.
With troops, especially when you're trying to build up, going from just being spears and rock slingers to then all of a sudden having artillery and trebuchets and then all the other technology that comes and follows from that point. it's easy to then all of a sudden say, okay, I'm going to direct my city to being a military city. So you start even building great buildings that are supposed, and let's face it, some of them are essential, like Zeus. The statue of Zeus, you get that very early in the game.
Yeah, and
usually.
for his size, he's one of the most efficient.
I'd say the most essential characters.
Yeah,
just to get started and get it to where all of a sudden, even though my rock slingers aren't that strong, now you have this statue of Zeus that gives them an extra 10 to 20% to sometimes if you're really leveling it up 30 or 40%. And it doesn't matter then. Once you get a new tier or a new tech army, you're going to be killing it. You're going to be just destroying everything at that point.
Yeah, and every time you open a new era on that map, you get a couple of troops from that. And so it's many times throughout the game, you will have troops from an era that you're not even there yet. So those are the troops I would take and make them defend my city because they were stronger than every other troop I had. And if I was using them, I would just kill them off. And if you're using them for defense, they're always there. I do like that aspect of it.
I do think, too, with the military, as you build up and you're starting to tech up, you get to a point like with where you did, where you age camped. You said, I'm going to get whatever materials I want. I'm going to farm that entire time with whatever capacity I can. During that,
I stocked up enough to have goods for everyone in the guild and their friends to build every great building in the guild, supply all the goods for everyone.
And I think I would also go ahead and mention to people, when you start playing this game, because there are so many different buildings, there is a wiki forge that gives you a description of what every building does and what its purpose is. And from that point, you can decide whether or not once you start running out of space, because that's always the big issue in the game. You never have enough space. You want to keep building it bigger, faster.
Those land expansions,
exactly.
They are gold and yes.
Oh, man. I mean, I got to the point now where because of how many I've gone through, and with age camping, it's actually kind of important once you get further in, because once you jump to another age, like going from Mars to Venus, you now have the ability to collect stuff Mars ore. But had I camped there for a couple months, I could have kept grabbing it, and I would have got a lot more Mars ore in a very shorter period of time. And that would have been better to stay there than to all of a sudden say, okay, I'm going to go to Venus. And then I realize, oh, wait, I don't have any Mars ore. Now I got to start from zero on Mars ore, knowing I have everything I need besides that. It's kind of part of it to where Iron Age is the first, like you said, the first age where you look and you say, I decided I'm going to camp.
That's all new to me. I haven't had to deal with that yet. I've been jumping through eras in seconds just by storing up forge points. My bank is like 100,000.
Yeah, you could just jump along on a tech if you want. Like, you have 400,000 forge points?
I have 100,000 in the bank. 100,000. Yeah.
I probably have maybe like 4,000 or 5,000.
Yeah.
And even then, that's from doing all of the blueprint hunting, the sniping. That's I guess that's another thing we could talk about, sniping, where...
Well, see, here's the thing. In a guild where you have a good, efficient 1.9 thread, and there's so many people active in the guild, and they're always building their great buildings. At no time do I need blueprints. I probably have 1,000 blueprints in every square.
You just unlock a level when you feel like it, or do you unlock them all the way up?
I have unlocked up to 420 on every building.
That's hilarious.
Up to 420.
So you get them all the way up there, even though you're like, oh, I'm miles away from being there. I'm millennia away from there.
Like on the Ark, for instance, level 420 is unlocked, and I have probably 3,000 blueprints in each.
You could still just keep going. How do you get that much blueprints? Is that just from sniping?
Because so many people are raising and leveling arcs. And still to this day, people keep going up to level 180 gives you a 2.0 return. And everything you drop on a great building, you get twice as much back. But level 180 is very pricey. But at any given time, there's 2 or 3 people in the guild that are leveling an arc. I'm at 140 right now.
Well, you had told me, you're like, get your arc up. I was only at maybe like 40, and we got it all the way up to like level 81 or 82 in the span of a couple months.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
But if we didn't have that guild or we didn't have that community, it would have taken years to do that.
It took me 8 years to get the arc to level 80. I had no clue that was even a goal. We didn't have 1.9. And when people came in looking to try to, rustle the boat or, whatever, rock the boat, I'd be like, get out of here. Go find somewhere that wants you, There's people doing that in different guilds. We don't need that here. I thought that was the way to go. But we were way off. We were way off in that. We needed it and we didn't know it. We didn't have anyone to teach us that. But once we brought it in.
Now let's explain 1.9, because even when you first were explaining it to me when we were online, it was harder to do it online than it is to say. But the calculation of a 1-to-9 ratio, is that what it was or something to that? But you could look and say, you invest this many forge points in this person's building and you're guaranteed this many blueprints, and it also gives you it rewards you some forge points back.
Mm-hmm. Before the arc and before the arc's bonus, when you take place a finishing slot, when someone levels a great building, you get a reward back.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's normally 1.0. It's just whatever you put in, whatever that is, you get it back. Once you get the arc and you get to 1.9, which is at level 80, you get 1.9% back in return.
1.9%.
So almost twice.
So it's almost double or twice.
1.9. So what that does is it allows the owner of the building to keep only paying basically just under a third of the level, and everyone else does it at a profit. So it incentivizes them to help you.
And that's the thing. What does the arc actually do? When you collect the arc, it gives goods to your guild treasury, and it gives, that's all it does. Yeah, I forget what else.
Its other superpower is giving you your reward bonus. Yeah. It gets you up into the range where people are incentivized to help you. And if you get together and do, because we built a leveling thread where 5 or 10 people gather a couple times a week just to hang out and run some levels. And you can get 40 or 50 levels in less than an hour just by
that's why when
the button,
you just started unlocking my other one, the recent Blue Galaxy.
Yeah, 20 whatever
you're like,
levels.
Unlock more blueprints. I'm like, I'm trying. And we got it up to from sticks to bricks, we got it up to what level? I forget, 11 or 12, maybe
it was
even
20
further.
something.
Or 20? We got all the way up to 20. And that would have taken years if we weren't part of a guild.
Mm-hmm.
You just couldn't do it without having that active community.
It was 30,000 plus forge points. Just dropped it.
That's wild. So
as we never done that before.
I mean, we can keep talking about this, and the only people that are going to be interested in the forgers.
There. Sorry, Forgecast listeners.
So as we go ahead and we wrap up this first episode of
we could do this
the Forge of Empires. I know this thing could keep going. This should just be its own podcast.
I mean, the game doesn't ever end.
It keeps going. Yeah, there's always things evolving with it.
Either.
Just like even in World of Warcraft, leveling up got a lot quicker and it got a lot faster.
I only play one game.
And that's Forge of Empires. That's it. And with that, be sure to go and check out talesfromadivebar.com. We will leave our codes there, which will, if you play or you decide you want to play,
please
you
join
will
us.
Jump into our world. You will jump into where I think you're on our friends list instantly. And at that point, we can go ahead and guide you so you don't make the same stupid mistakes that I made. All right? Or that Chris made. Hopefully, if your OCD kicks in the way that it has with us, you will go ahead and play it for years to come.
Let's throw this out there, though. Right now, there exists a nasty and invasive tutorial, and there's a bunch of different facets in the game that it makes you endure. If you can get past the tutorial...
Oh, yeah, the first half an hour.
Yeah.
Here's what you do the first half an hour. Pour yourself a glass of wine, get a beer going, get your bowl on the side, do whatever it is, roll a joint.
Bend over the barrel because they're going to take you for a ride.
Go through the whole starting and clicking and navigating around. And just keep clicking. You can mindlessly do it. It doesn't matter. But once you get through that, it'll also give you diamonds. And because you get the diamonds, then you can use that to then expand and build more. And build cooler things. What do you think the most creative or colorful era was? Because I felt like
I personally liked the colonial era.
Just before industrial.
If anyone does come out and join us, don't spend your diamonds on anything. You won't
save
need
them.
to.
Just save them.
I have everything you'll need.
The only thing you'll ever spend your diamonds on
diamonds.
is to get a land expansion, I would say.
Yes, much later down the line.
But that's much further,
Accumulate diamonds. Don't spend
Accrue
them.
as many diamonds as you can. We'll talk about other great buildings in future ones where we explain how you can get other great buildings that then help you get more diamonds, because that's kind of like the in-game currency. Like we said,
These days it's the seed vault.
the seed vault's a big one. The chateau what is it?
Chateau being the most important great building in the game, many people say. That and the Ark.
I mean, I could probably level up the chateau like another 10 levels real quick.
You should.
We should. And with that, we will do it. And like we said, the code at talesfromadivebar.com. We'll get more in depth in the game in another episode. Take care, drink in, and have a good night.
Skål.
Tales from the Dive Bar. Yeah, come and listen for free. Get your ass on your couch, eat some food, and listen to us three. Ooh.